All right, in this lesson, we're going to create the pipe. And essentially, the pipe is just to teach you how to do the sweeping paths. Again, I'm not pulling this up from anywhere. I get it off the website. Students a lot of times will call this one the straw because it kind of looks like a silly straw to them. The most commonly needed use to be able to create the sweeping paths along like this pipe is if you're doing an exhaust system in an automobile, if you're doing a pipe for some kind of manufacturing plant and they need a run. And what you do is you create our path, we create the pipe, and we have it sweep around the pipe. So that's the reason why we learn how to do this particular lesson. All right, again, I'm going to do new. I'm going to do a metric part. And again, you can go through and you can set your snap and your grid and all that. I'm actually just going to go ahead and start drawing this one. And I'm going to make sure that I save it again into my folder. I'm going to make a new subfolder and I'm going to call this one pipe. So let's just create a new sketch. And I'm going to go ahead and create it on this plane. And again, I'm just going to draw approximation in my lines. Remember, if I draw something totally crazy, if I use my constraint tools, see, I can keep it nice and perfectly together. I can even say that I want them to be equal. So I can go equal. I want this one equal to that one. So now that when I dimension this one and I tell it to be 40, they should both automatically become 40. And they are. And then I want that and that to be perpendicular. See how it straightened it all nice and out? And I want the distance on it to be 60. So now I have perfectly 60 and two perfectly 40. Okay? My next thing is I want to create a work plane that's right here on this end here. So I'm going to finish that sketch, zoom out, spin it around so that I can look at it. There we go. Plane on that point. So click on the point, and there I've got a work plane to work off of. All right. Now I'm going to create a new sketch on that work plane, and I'm going to create a new drawing that's 60, 40, 40. So again, I'm going to go create a sketch on this work plane. I'm going to draw a line from here. Actually, I want it to go over 60. You don't have to tell it precisely, but I'm going to just for the grins. Up 40, over 40. Oops. How do I fix that? Go back, use your constraint tools. See, it straightened it out nice and pretty. So I have a 60, a 40, and a 40. Okay. All right, I'm going to finish the sketch also. I'm going to click on the lovely home view so I can look at it. So essentially now I have something a little convoluted that looks like this. So if you knew what you're drawing, so if you knew what path your pipes needed to run, you could literally draw those by using your different planes. So I could do my X, my Y's, and Z's however I needed them, and then I can create my sweep that goes around it. Now what I actually need to do is I want to create another work plane here on this end here. So I'm going to go to work plane, I'm going to grab this and create that there. And now I'm going to create a 3D sketch. And I want to tell it to include the geometry. So create a 3D sketch on that plane. And we're going to do the next step here. Okay, let's try that one again. So I've got my plane here on the end, and I'm going to create a 3D sketch on that plane. I'm going to go to include geometry, because when I tell it to include geometry, it's going to take those lines that I've created. So remember, again, I can draw whatever my path needs to be. When I tell it to include the geometry, when you do the include geometry, it's going to change it to another color, so you'll know that it's been selected. I'm going to go to my bin function. It should be 15. And now I'm going to just start clicking on the lines. And notice how it automatically should start putting in bins for us. So if you knew whatever size your bin's in, if one needed to be 5, one needed to be 10, whatever is so forth, you could do that. Okay. So our next step is we're going to now create a circle on this plane here. And we're going to tilt sweep along this whole item here. So I'm going to go to draw. Should be able to go to draw. Hang on one second. Okay, so now that I know that I've got it swept and I've done my curves, I'm actually going to exit out of the 3D sketch, and I'm going to create a 2D sketch now on this plane. It's going to pull that up, and now I'm going to draw 2 circles. So I'm going to draw one that has a diameter 4, and one that has a diameter 6. So I'm making like, remember when we did the bottle and we did the part of it so that you had the shell? Well, essentially we're drawing the circles that are going to be our shell. They're going to be our straw. They're going to be the pipe that goes around it. And I'm going to finish my sketch. And I'm going to use my sweep tool right here. So grab the circle. Make sure it's on path next. So I go to profile first. That would be the circle. Then you go to path. Path is going to be that bin that we just created. Now I want you to look at it and see, did it do it correctly? And if I look, no, my corners are square. So I didn't do it on the right one. So let's try this again. So I'm going to go to my sweep, to that. And don't click the square. Make sure you're clicking the round path. See the difference? There we are. Very good. So now we feel much better because we've created our path and it sweeps around it. Let's change the material to, I don't know, galvanized steel. There we go. So all it is, I change it to galvanized steel. Save, and again, I'm going to take this one and do the same thing as I did before. Save it to your folder, export it again as an image, and just simply call it the pipe. And then you're going to submit the pipe. We're not worried about putting this into the title block. We're not worried about doing that. This was just to see, can you do those basic sweep files? Can you do those different higher function ones that are in there? So that was just a real basic sweep file. Congratulations, you completed it.